This is David Gilmore, known as LDS Prepper, and to watch over 600 videos that could save your life on emergency preparedness, go to ldsprepper.com. Today we're going to start preparing this greenhouse to put new plastic on it. The plastic that was on here before had a 4-year warranty, but it lasted 7 full seasons. So I really get my money's worth out of it. To get the best price, best product, and best customer service on greenhouse plastic and other greenhouse supplies, go to farmplasticsupply.com. I'll have a link down below. They're great people, and use discount code LDS Prepper. I don't get any commission or payout for that. They're just very nice to offer that discount for you. So farmplasticsupply.com. So a couple things I need to do here. You can see that this end PVC pipe is really bent. That's because I did not put this 2x4 down into the ground very far, if at all, because I don't like putting wood down into the dirt. Well, that's my bad, and I need to fix that. So first thing I'll be doing is taking off these 2x4s and seeing if I can't straighten out this pipe. That did not take very much time. As you can see, I only had about 6 inches of lumber underground in the dirt, and there's no rotting on it. To my surprise, that's excellent. So if you're concerned about lumber like I was being in the dirt, if it's pressure treated, it looks like you're not going to have a problem. Well, I've got this tied off and pulled to see if I can straighten that pipe out. It's about 37 degrees here today. You do not want to be putting a lot of pressure on PVC pipe when it's cold, because it will snap, and you don't want to drill on it when it's cold either. So I've got some pressure on it, but I will probably need to get out my heat gun and warm that up and get that straightened out, because I need to put the wiggle wire channel on this pipe, and it needs to be straight. I've got the same problem at the other end, so I've tied down the other end too. Fortunately, it's only happened on 2 locations, not on all 4. In the previous installation of the greenhouse, I didn't use wiggle wire, but I am going to use it this time. So I need to take these 1x2s out, and how I had this position before, as you can see, the plastic is down here. It went underneath this board and then over that board, so that locked it in, so it was nice and secure. But I don't need to do that anymore, because I just put wiggle wire here. So I'm going to take the both runs of 1x2s off here and down here, all the way around the greenhouse on all 4 sides. Alright, so I tried to heat up the 1.5 inch PVC with the Harbor Freight heat gun, and it's just taking way too long. In 30 minutes I still wasn't able to heat it up enough to bend the pipe back straight. So what I did is I did heat up the pipe, but before I did that, I cut off the pipe down below. You can see the removed pipe here, and then I heated up this joint. This is a 20-foot piece of 1.5 inch PVC, and it comes with a beveled joint on it. I don't know if you can see it. It's a little bit thicker than the rest. And I heated it up with this, and you heat it up enough, maybe 3 to 5 minutes, and then it becomes soft. And even though that this PVC here was glued in, it came out. So I got a new 10-foot piece of PVC and put that in, and was drilling a hole right here to support this crossbeam and this new PVC split. So got another one on here, and that is completely installed now, and I've got the wiggle wire channel on, and as you see, this comes down here to the edge, and so it'll meet up nicely with the plastic down here. So this isn't perfectly straight, but it is significantly straighter, and I've got a 4x4 in here now, and it goes down more than 3 feet in the ground, and inside there I've got concrete. So I've got 40 pounds of quick set concrete down there to hold this straight, make sure it was nice and level, and so I'm not concerned about that having any problems bending again. Now I need to do the same thing on the other side. So we went from this, there it is, it's not perfectly straight, but it's significantly better than it was before. Let me show you how I was able to get these pipes to bend over these PVC pipes. So this pipe, or a really wiggle wire channel, is somewhat flexible, but it's very rigid. When you order from farmplasticsupply.com, they'll send you all the necessary sheet metal screws or self-tapping screws, but I found I save quite a bit of time by pre-punching those holes, and I just have a nail punch here, and I just pre-punch the hole, so I spend a lot less time chasing screws that are slipping back and forth. And then to hold it in place, I use these clamps because I'll need to bend it to follow the arc of the PVC pipe. And this holds it in place so I can get both hands on the drill and the screw and put it in with ease. Okay, I have all the wiggle wire channel installed. It goes along this edge here right above the 1x2, which is the dark area. And so I've got the plastic that goes down in the ground a foot behind the wiggle wire to seal that, so air doesn't get underneath the greenhouse, and to seal in the temperature. And then on top of the ridge all the way around here, I have the wiggle wire on top, so I can attach the ends and then also the top to it. And then around the door frame all the way around here, I've got the wiggle wire installed. So I measured from the bottom to the top, it's 9 feet. So I'm adding extra for safety. So I'm putting in 9 feet 4 inches. I'm cutting 9 feet 4 inches of plastic, and that measures from the ground all the way up 4 inches above the top. And so that should give me plenty of room to for maneuvering and so forth. So now I'm going to cut the plastic. So as you can see here, this is 4-year warranted clear 6mm plastic that's 32 feet wide. Now you may ask, why is it 32 feet wide when my greenhouse is only 20 by 40? Well, it's 32 feet wide because it has to go all the way over from one side all the way over the arch and over there down the other side. So that's 30 feet, and so I made sure that I had enough plastic on both sides so we can make it work, because nothing is perfectly square. And so as you go down the greenhouse, you may be off by a foot while you get down to the other end as far as getting the plastic squared off. So I recommend an extra foot on either side, so 30 feet from one side to the other, plus a foot over here and a foot on the other side. Since this is a 40-foot long greenhouse, I'm going to need 40 feet plus a foot on each side, which is 42 feet. And then it's double layered, so I'm going to need 42 times 2, which is 84 feet of plastic to cover the entire length. And then I'm going to need 9.5 feet approximately for both ends to have plastic on them. So keep that in mind when you're adding up all your plastic. Now here I'm going to put a single layer of plastic on the ends, not a double layer, because it'll have full insulation on the inside. On the north, well, the entire east side here, the entire west side, which is here, and then the entire east side will have styrofoam 2 inches thick all the way inside. So I only have one layer of plastic on the ends. So I have my plastic laid out here, and I've marked my 9 feet 4 inches right here. And now I'm going to get a straight edge and just cut it all the way across. I measured from one end to 9 feet 4 inches, and then from this end also 9 feet 4 inches, and then I'm going to square it off. I have this DeWalt utility knife, and you can see it's sectioned so I can break parts off. I want a nice clean cut, and I've been using this blade for everything I'm cutting, so I'm going to break off this end part here and have a nice clean edge to cut the plastic. In my past experience, I found it too hard to follow my razor knife on a straight edge, so I just used the straight edge and then a Sharpie to make the line, and then I'll just cut it with the knife freehand. and that makes a better, cleaner cut for me. These end pieces are pretty easy to put up, so I'm doing it by myself. It's slightly breezy today, so there's actually just enough wind to kind of hold this up in place. If you can see up here, I've got one piece of wiggle wire put in where it will permanently be, and then I just have it draped down here. I'm checking to see that I have enough plastic below this, and I do got plenty of plastic below that, so that all looks good. I've got this held off on both sides with the little clamp here, kind of hold it in place, and now I'm ready to put it on. What I kind of look for is that there's writing in here, and so I'm putting the writing right over the door, which will be cut out, so you won't see the writing. And I'm looking to see that these lines here are straight up and down, which they are, which means I'm square. So I'm good to go. Now I'm just going to start from the top and work my wiggle wire down on the top. Then I will do it on the doors, and then I'll do it on the bottom. Unless I do the bottom first before the doors, whichever works out better. I don't remember which works out better. So this is what it looks like up on top. You can see I've got my couple inches here, which is excellent. And of course, as it goes down, it gets bigger and bigger. And then I got the wiggle wire here in the channel. You'll see here that I got two wiggle wires touching each other. Normally when I do wiggle wire, I will overlap it by 6 inches. But there's going to be 2 more layers of plastic and another wiggle wire on top of this. So I'm not going to overlap that. This is just to hold this in place. The side plastic, that will be there permanently. So I'm going to actually have 3 layers of plastic, 1 for the side, 2 for the top, because the top will be inflated all the way down the sides. And then holding those 2 layers in would be another wiggle wire going all the way across. All right, so in my experience, the best way to do this is to put 1 piece of wiggle wire up here, and then check your extra plastic down here to make sure you get the same amount of plastic on this side hanging over as you do on that side. So I was pretty close, but not exact. Down here you'll be able to see that I've got just enough plastic to be secure, but over here I've got several inches, probably 4 inches or more of plastic hanging out. So I wasn't perfectly square at the top. So this will work just fine. So what I would do is make sure you're square, and the way you do that is just put 1 piece at the top, then square it off at the bottom. Then what I would do is I would finish going along the top and then across the bottom, and then do the doorway. Wasn't trying to pull anything tight, but it's nice and tight, snug, and I'm really happy with the way it came out, especially just one person doing it by himself. I like putting my plastic on the ends first and then over the main section. That way, if I have to get into the main section, I don't have to undo an end, because that's already underneath. That was done first on the main section. So I would do the top, then the bottoms, then the doorway. And one reason I wanted to test this, because I wasn't quite sure which is the best way to do the corners that come together. And here you can see I've got them where I thought I could have the wiggle wire just kind of go around the corner and continue. And with all these sharp edges, that was not a good idea. It's better to have a wiggle wire come down like this, where if that was a corner, I would end it here and not try to get the wiggle wire to come around this corner. To finish off the end, I'm just going to come over here and cut all this extra plastic here, and I'm going to cut it like I did before, 4 inches past here, so that if I need to work with this again, I have something to hold on to if I'm reapplying the plastic. So I'll finish installing the wiggle wire and then cut the plastic about here. And when I do the other part that comes over, I'll do the same thing. I'm going to have it hanging over about 4 inches, 4 inches over the side. To finish off the ends, you can see why this wiggle wire comes down to the end. And I'm just going to put this wiggle wire so it's offset like this, so that I have a double wiggle wire to remove a lot of the strain. So it looks like that when it's done. What people think is the hardest part is actually the easiest part, and that's putting the 2 layers of plastic over the top of the greenhouse. So I've got a 40-foot greenhouse, so I measured out 86 feet. You can see the tape measure down here. And I cut it at 86 feet and 43 feet. That gives me a foot extra of plastic over the edge. So I have lots to work with. And then we just tied ropes to the corners. We had 3 people pulling, one here in the corner, one here in the center, and one on the other corner. And we just pulled it over. I was inside and making sure nothing get snagged. And then what we did is we took some wiggle wire. My son Ben from Minuteman Prep YouTube channel got over on this side. He put the wiggle wire on, which held the first layer of plastic on. Then we pulled the second, and I did the same on the other side. We pulled the second layer over, and then we took the wiggle wire off from holding the first layer and pulled both layers tight. And now we're just walking it down here, and we're trying to keep as many wrinkles out as possible. It doesn't make, I mean, it's not really that critical, because once we inflate it with the inflation fan here, it'll take all the wrinkles out for us. So I would say minimum of 3 people plus yourself, and you'll have a very easy job here. And as a reminder, if you're looking for greenhouse plastic, honestly, the best place I've been able to find it is at farmgreenhouseplastic.com, and use discount code LDS Prepper to get a nice, generous discount off your purchase. I don't make any commissions with them, but they've been kind enough to offer a discount for all my subscribers. Farmplasticsupply.com, LDS Prepper, discount code. Well, that took 41 minutes. I asked everybody to be here at noon, and when we were done putting this wiggle wire here, it was 41 minutes. It doesn't take much time or a lot of muscle work. It's just a matter of getting enough people here on your team. Now, what I'll do, because I can do this by myself, I'll go ahead and tack down everything here with the wiggle wire here. We do not have the inflation fan going. We just have it draped. But when we opened these doors, it was already 80 degrees in here easily, and it's 47 degrees outside. So that makes a big difference. Don't have the inflation here. It's not sealed off. I don't have the insulation here on the north, east, and west sides either. And it was already in the mid 80s, at least 80 when we walked in. So didn't get it in here early enough for my tomato plants. We had every night this last week and a half or so, we've been below freezing, in the 20s actually. So those didn't make it, unfortunately. So I'll have to plant some more. But we'll get the carrots and the other winter crops in here. And the strawberries are still doing great. So looks like we'll be eating strawberries all winter long here. She's all wrapped up, and this is the next day. Fortunately, we got it done yesterday. We're supposed to have up to 60-mile-an-hour gusts this evening, but it looks good. One thing to keep in mind is when you're putting out the plastic, make sure you start from the center and work out to the edges and down. That way you're pulling any wrinkles and creases out of the way. If you start on the end and work to the other end, it doesn't work as well. So even on the side, start your wiggle wire in the center and work out one direction, and then work out the other direction. And I just kind of hold it down, kind of snug, to keep the wrinkles out as much as possible. But I just walked through there. It's nice and warm, even though it's very windy out here right now. It's not really cold, but it's pretty windy. But what an enjoyable experience it'll be this winter to be working inside this geothermal greenhouse. Because of what I'll be growing this winter, since I didn't get the tomatoes protected and they died, I'll probably not even have to put up the styrofoam on the north, east, and west side. But I will let the thermometer tell me whether I need to or not. But the less insulation I have, the more light that gets in there, which is the first law of plant growth. Second law is temperature. So if temperature gets too low, I've got to cut out some of the light in order to keep it within a growing temperature range. Either way, I'll know by the thermometers that I use. And by the way, what I do use are these little Govee thermometers. This is the thermometer for this greenhouse, and then number 1 is thermometer over there. I think I get them in a 3-pack or something like that. Anyway, I'll have a link down below where you can get these too. This is LDS Prepper reminding you, if ye are prepared, ye shall not fear. I have a complete video series on geothermal greenhouses and how we're able to take the air from underneath the greenhouse, run the tubes underground, heat up the air in those tubes, and warm the greenhouse so we can grow food year-round as if our life depends on it, because it just might. Check out ldsprepper.com to watch over 600 videos that could save your life.